Hey, what's up, everyone? We're gonna get started here in a second. I gotta once we get into the actual stream, I gotta like tweak some of the text. I just didn't get a chance to. We're doing our like first community day. That was like a suggestion from a subscriber, the Boyks. A subscriber for months suggested we do some Judge Dredd. Here we are. We're gonna do some Judge Dredd. But before we do that, guys, Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye, Volume 2. It's coming out this new comic book day. You're gonna want to pick it up. It's dope as hell. It's a great volume. We took a lot of chances, whereas the first volume set up a lot of like the color kind of like themes. The second volume kind of subverts those themes. So if you dug the first one, you'll love the second one. I'm sure you'll pick it up. But I think that's all new business. I think that's all the new business. I've been thinking a lot about, if you didn't join me before, I've been thinking a lot about Curse of the Iron Chef. Over the weekend, we did some brainstorming. I think there's a couple things that we're gonna have to tackle in the writing to like kind of iron it out. But I'm excited to tackle that stuff. It's gonna be really fun. All right, so like, you guys get it. You guys know that like I'm not really in Tony Stark's lab. You know, like the jig is up. I don't. This is all fake. This is all a green screen. Yeah, we're gonna iron it out. Yeah. This is all fake. This is all a green screen. What I'm saying is like, you know, you don't want to see where I live. Like, where I live in Mega City 1, it's like people packed on top of people. It's like violence everywhere. And the only thing that like really keeps it in check is like the judges. And, you know, when you think about it, when you think about like all this stuff, it really, really gives you a good respect for the law. Please. Hey, Matt Garvey. The law. Guys, we're doing Judge Dredd. I pulled some Judge Dredd stuff out of this volume right here. I think this is, what is this? Volume 4, Case Files. Welcome to the law. This is already the worst stream we've ever made. All right. So this is the raw scan. In these Judge Dredd books, they're like phone book sized, like it's like real thick. Phone book sized, like black and white volumes. You can kind of see it on the camera down there. So they're black and white, which means they are perfect to practice your coloring. We've actually been talking a lot in the Discord, which we're going to put a Discord link in the bottom below if you're watching on YouTube, so you can join in the conversation too, about like where you find decent pages to practice coloring. And these like giant phone book, you know, things are perfect to practice, because they're black and white. All you got to do is scan them in. You're looking at the raw scan that I did. I don't have any kind of like fancy computer scanner or anything like that. I don't have a giant like flatbed thing. Someone trying to argue with the law? I hope not, Magi. I can't. I was gonna click it back. And I just can't emotionally get. I have to like. I would not be a good judge. Is someone trying to argue with the law? so dumb. It's so dumb. All right, let's actually move to a place where we're educating a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, those Judge Dredd volumes are real great for that. Marvel makes their own set. I think they're called Essential. Yeah, I have some Essential Fantastic Four up there. And DC makes their own set. I'm not sure what the DC one's called. But they're all kind of like old vintage stuff. And the good thing about coloring vintage stuff is that the original colors are usually like really kind of rough just because of the technology at the time. You heard what the Clash were talking about when they said they fought the law. God, I should not be allowed to have a green screen anymore. You're telling me. Good Lord. All right, so we have a cover by Brian Boland. Brian is an incredible artist. So we pulled this cover. Boyk suggested that we do some Judge Dredd stuff. And I gave him a choice of like a bunch of different Judge Dredd kind of pieces. I tried to get the one he suggested, but it turns out it was posted on a comic book collecting website, and the guy who got the sketch didn't have the sketch anymore, so we couldn't use that. But next best thing. And I don't think this is going to be the only Judge Dredd stuff we're going to do, because like Judge Dredd is awesome. I got volume 3 and volume 4 of the case files, and it is so good. We're going to talk about it in a second. We're like, actually, man, we are like really close to just already lining this thing up. Like, we might not have to do any kind of editing. Speaking of editing, let's edit the text on the bottom here. Oh my God, I got there eventually. There we go. So, if you have stuff that you want to suggest for the stream, you know, if you're a subscriber, you can suggest. We're gonna crop this guy down. So we scanned at 600 dpi, which is really important. You wanna have like a good at least 300, but I didn't know like how the cleanup would go on this, so I wanted to do 600. So if you look, because you want to work on a large document. If you look, we're what are we inches wise? 6x8, 600 dpi. It only gets better too. You remember being super awesome around case files 7 to 14. Oh my God, I have so many more to go. All right, so we can kind of roll with this. We might be able to just like totally crop it in, like not even have the border. We could probably do that. So you were saying, I remember someone was saying, I don't know if it was you, Dave Jordan, but that eventually the collected editions switched to color. But for now, the older ones are black and white. So, okay, here's the thing about this scan. Like, it's that old newsprint, so it's got this kind of like texture to it, which I actually kind of like. It kind of gives it like a vintage feel. So we're gonna take this, copy it, paste it into an alpha layer, just to be like, all right, and let's make sure that, yeah, we're gonna try to like preserve that a little bit. But for now, we're gonna put it in CMYK. We're gonna threshold it. All right. So that like we basically like cleaned the whole thing up. We went from this to this. And it's not like totally perfect, but it's pretty close, you know. It was a decent scan, and we're 600 DPI, so even if we took this and like colored it and printed it out for a portfolio, it would totally work fine. I think the only places that we're really gonna get like, I mean, I don't know. It looks pretty solid. And we might use the toothy kind of textury one at the end anyway, just to see like how it goes. But today, we're not thinking about color. We're just thinking about flattening this thing. So let's do it. All right. So like I said, I read Judge Dredd, and it was in black and white when I read it. So we're gonna try to like figure out. Well, first let's work back to front. Yeah. 600 DPI, it'll be smooth. Yeah. I'm not worried about it. Like, the only thing I was worried about is, like, so Brian Boland has, like, a really, kind of, like, it looks almost, like, oily. Like, his inking is so tight, it looks, like, I don't know, like, it looks wet, almost. So I wanted to make sure that that came across in the actual scan that we do. And I think that when we start to, like, zoom in and be like, oh, I don't know if these pixels are right or if it should look slightly different. I think we're like, you know, kind of we're talking about something kind of stupid. Like it's getting to the point where like, oh, the human eye won't pick that up. Flat colors don't matter. Flat colors do not matter. I mean, I'm going to flat it as I kind of want it because I'm flatting it for myself. But I'm also like, this is not how you should be flatting. Like, this is slow flatting what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm like tracing out these buildings and stuff, and this is like kind of not where you should be. Like, you should be like kind of like patching them up and then like using the wand, but whatever. We're chilling. We're chilling. So the reason flat colors don't matter is because the colorist is usually going to change the flat colors anyway. Like, the colorist is going to go in and kind of like do his thing, his or her thing. So it doesn't really matter like what you do color wise. Like, I don't know if we're going to keep this like red sky or not. Like, I don't know what this is going to look like yet. Let's here. This is probably all connected. Did I click right? I did not click right. There we go. Yeah, so I mean, as long as the flats are, oh, that was not where we wanted to be. Yeah, as long as the flats are like, I don't know, tight. As long as the flats are usable, it doesn't matter like what color everything is. Why don't we let's do all of Dredd, because he is the foreground element, and then we'll work on we'll work on all the background stuff, and then we'll work on Dredd. But some flatters or some colorists like their flats in like a certain way. I buy really, really cheap, fast flats from Hey Boix. We got around to Dredd. Oh yeah, no problem, Matt. Matt said thank you for the feedback. I gave him feedback on a piece that he colored. Oh my god, Photoshop, please. I gave him feedback on a piece that he posted into the Discord. Not really as intense of a feedback as the portfolio review for Berry Colors, but feedback nonetheless. Yeah, so you could, I mean, we could do neon and purple. Flatting is all about just like separating the shapes. It's not about like doing any kind of like actual coloring. Um, I'm going to flat it the way that I would want my flats prepared so that we save time, but it really doesn't matter. I get cheap flats from Yes Flat. They're a little less expensive than all the other flatters around here. Like they're like all the flatters are around me. They're a little cheaper, but the flats aren't great. Like I end up correcting a lot of them. And a lot of times like I like flats that look like Local Joe. If you guys remember Local Joe from the very Berry Colors, more than enough feedback. Yeah. I figured it'd get you on the path. Like I like flats that are just like straight up local color, because then I can go in and kind of like, you know, manipulate it as I want it. But what I get is like from Yes Flat is like flats that are all over the place. Like you said, neon greens and purples. I get that from Yes Flat. Like it'll be the same purple throughout the page, like for the skin tones, but like, you know, so I'll be able to like click it once and fix it. But like, man, that time adds up too, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might start employing like a regular flatter just to like do things in a way that's like decent. I suspect there's a flatter that I know, and I suspect that he has created an entire model where he has passed things to Yes Flat and then gotten that and then like fixed them and then charged the colorist a little more, so he's like a middleman between Yes Flat and regular the regular colorist, which is like a little bit diabolical. But whatever, if it works, it works. Man, my Photoshop's acting laggy. We need a new computer. Anyone want to chip in for that? Anyone? I parted out a new computer. Jimmy Flats, only $5. We hook you up. Yeah. I pieced out a new computer, an ideal one that I would like, a PC, on iBuyPower.com, and that thing cost like just a little shy under $3,000, and I was like, ooh, maybe we should scale it back. You did chip in 5 whole bits. Thank you for the chip in. We're now 5 whole bits closer to what we need, which is $3,000 worth of bits. All right, so let's put DREDD in blue. We can put the logo. Wow, Photoshop is not running smoothly. We're gonna save. So remember when I was like, oh, we're not flatting very quickly? I'm gonna show you exactly what I meant. So we kind of like hand selected like all this stuff that we're doing right now. Hand selecting all of the lines. That's not where you want to be. Like we're gonna deselect this. So you see how like I could have hand selected like this part around the 2 and like all that kind of stuff. Instead, we're just gonna like fill it with a color and then select CMY and then like just select the outside of this thing. Like we don't need to actually like really get super detailed. We can just go like that, you know? It's tough to remain vigilant, like look for the solutions like that, because like flatting is kind of, you kind of like space out. You kind of go zen, and like to remain vigilant and like think about that stuff is tough. But anyway, enough about flatting. We've talked about flatting to death. Let's talk about Judge Dredd. So I read the first 2 volumes, and they were absolutely, or the first volume 3 and volume 4. I'm like halfway through volume 4, and they are freaking nuts. Like, I never read any Judge Dredd as a kid. We're definitely gonna be doing more Judge Dredd on the stream. The introduction of Judge Death is like totally crazy. I don't know if you guys have read it, but like they did. Okay, so like they do these like Dredd is bonkers. Yeah. So they do these like very serious stories that are bookended by like these stories that are just like total insanity. I have time to read. Yeah, I try to take weekends off. I'm actually gonna do. I've thought about doing YouTube content. I don't know if I'm gonna do it this weekend, or this week, but maybe I will. Where I'm gonna start like posting little mini reviews of like stuff I'm reading, just in case you guys want to check out other stuff, so that like I feel like sometimes the stream is like, hey, here's everything about me, and it's about me all the time. And like the reality is that like comics, like, first of all, I'm a colorist, so like comics are a collaborative thing anyway. And then like I'm being influenced by the stuff that I read to begin with. So it's like, I don't know, like art isn't made in a vacuum. And I think it would be neat to give you guys, you know, like a jumping off point. Like Nick is reading this stuff. Maybe like he said it was like this and this and this, and maybe I'll check it out, so that, you know, like, you know that like I'm not making a buck off of like my recommendations. It's just like, these are my recommendations, you know. This is what I'm enjoying. So I'm currently really enjoying Judge Dredd. But man, those volumes are dense, by the way. Like, you really get your money's worth, because there is a lot of story in there. Anyway, so they have like these crazy stories about like, you know, the psychology of like a human being that doesn't have to work anymore, because like machines have automated everything, and like mentally people just couldn't deal with not working, so they go crazy, and then they get judged and sent to like, you know, mines and hard labor and stuff. You always come across things you want to read, and then you look at your current unread stack and you wave goodbye to the cool looking thing. Yeah, see, this is the thing. So I've started telling myself, in the apocalypse war, there's so many nuclear explosions that the earth literally cracks into pieces. I'm into it. So yeah, here's the thing, Ziggy. So I started telling myself that like, if I'm going to read stuff, then like I'm going to only buy stuff that I am able to read like that day, or like that month, or whatever. So that way like the to read pile doesn't get bigger. I do have a stack of like older stuff that I'm now like when I bought it, I was excited about it, and then I've either like, I don't know if you guys have done this, but you like rebuy things. Like, you I think I did this with like Gotham Academy like 3 times, where like Gotham Academy looks like a book that I would love. I pick it up, I put it in the to read pile, I don't read it, and then like 6 months later I'm like, oh, Gotham Academy, that looks great, and then I pick it up again. You're welcome, people who reap the royalty rewards of Gotham Academy. So yeah, I've started to be like, okay, I was doing the same thing with video games too for a long time, and I've since kind of like wrapped my mind around like, okay, do I have time to read this right now? If I have time to read this right now, I will buy something. So I only go to the comic shop when I like have time on my hands to read something, I want to read something, I don't have anything else going on, I'll go to the shop, pick some stuff up, and read it. Or I'll like go through the to read pile. That way the to read pile doesn't get any bigger than it already does. And you wonder why your fiance manages the money. I'm becoming much more savvy as I'm getting older, but man, there were some bad money choices when I was in my 20s. Like, who needs to pay taxes? We can just buy PS2 games. The heavy PS2 portfolio is really paying off. Yeah, you've bought a ton of games for the stream that you thought about playing. Yeah, so like my mentality now is like, do I have time for this right now? If I have time for this right now, I will buy it. If I do not, I will not buy it. Like Fallout 4 just went on sale for like $15 on Steam. And I was like, oh baby. It was like $15 is like the sweet spot. Under 20, yes, I will play Fallout 4 for under 20. But I was like, well, I can only play it on the PC, which means I can't stream it. And then I was like, I'm like, maybe when I get a new computer, I'll be able to play it on stream when I switch to PC. But then I was like, well, you know, like, that's not now. Like, why would I buy this now? It's not like it's never going to go on sale again. You know? It's like, I don't know. Obviously, I just need to stream more. Yeah. So does the Boix. The worst part is you have physical and digital stacks. Whoo, that's when you're burning the candle at both ends, that's a bad sign. Or alternatively, keep doing that, Ziggy, because you know, we gotta keep this industry afloat. What I mean to say in all of this is just keep buying. You see a shiny object, you buy. But I don't know. I end up with like stuff that like I was excited for at the time. The real solution is to never sleep. I end up with stuff that I'm like excited for at the time. Like, for example, when Rick Remender wrote, Will Nick ever go to sleep? Hey, Graffiti Bandit. I bought Rick Remender's Frankenpunisher because I was like, this is totally bonkers. Like, I wanna pick this up and check it out. And then like I just never read it, and then now it's in the pile, and I always look at it and I'm like, I mean, I do want to read it still, but I'm like not as excited as when I bought it. So like the other things that I'm excited about take precedent, and then it's like, am I ever gonna read this thing? I've owned it for like a year and a half, and I'm not saying that like that's a judgment on Remender or anybody that worked on that. It's just like I keep thinking like, oh, I'm gonna read that, and it just like, I don't know, doesn't happen for whatever reason. Other stuff takes priority. We're gonna get these debris. So what I was saying before about like, you know, flying smarter. So like this debris right here, this long piece, like we can just do that with a brush. This little guy, brush, no problem. Like we actually a little bit there, yeah. So but like this one, we probably want to use the lasso. It's just like a little triangle, so it's not that bad. I'm trying to look for a piece of debris that's like a pain in the ass, but it looks like all the debris is actually all right. Yeah, but man, so I started with number 3 of the Judge Dredd case files because it's the first appearance of Judge Sy and Judge Anderson and Judge Death, and I wanted to read that. The Judge Death story is like total bananas. It's like maybe one of the most serious, like scary enemies that like Judge Dredd has, and at least as far as I know, and it's solved in the fucking weirdest way. Like, so previously in the story, they did this thing, like, in the city, like, this new pastime, this, like, extreme sport of boinging happens. Now, chat, I'm gonna ask you to be adults and not make extreme boinging jokes. Chat, I'm watching you right now. All right. So, and what extreme boinging is like, they take, like, spray paint. Too late. they take spray paint, or this, like, aerosol spray. You spray it on a person, and they essentially they spray it on themselves, and they turn into, like, a giant, like, breathable bouncy ball. And, like, so they have these, like, giant buildings, and they'll just jump off the giant building as this bouncy ball, and, like, they are fine, but they're, like, you know, banging into cars and crushing people. I think, like, one of the judges dies from being boinged to death. Chat. A judge died from being boinged to death. And we need to take it seriously. So it's this, like, ridiculous, like, ridiculous story that, like, you know, is like a joke almost. And then, like, Judge Death shows up, right? And, like, they can't kill him because, like, he's you know, he's already dead. And then they can't, so they use incendiary rounds and, like, set his body on fire, and then his spirit, like, possesses Judge Anderson because she's, like, psychic and reached out to him, and then he starts, like, building a new body, and then Judge Anderson realizes what she needs to do, and she sprays herself with the boing spray and, like, seals Judge Death in her body in this boing thing. But you're, like, and then it's like, okay, now you like, solved it with this giant bouncy ball. Yeah. So, like, Judge Death, who's, like, wants to eliminate all life. All life is a crime for Judge Death. And he's, like, the scariest villain, and he gets eliminated by a bouncy ball spray. It's total madness. And then she's, like, in a tomb, and it's like, you know, Judge Cy Anderson, she made the you know, greatest sacrifice or something like that, and it's like her in a bouncy ball coffin, but it's even, you haven't boinged for ages, so it's like her in this bouncy ball, like, giant bouncy ball coffin thing, but it's like she's not dead in there. Like, she can still breathe. Like, you know, like, the kids in the bouncy balls were fine. Like, they were boinging all over the place, but, like, it's treated like, okay, now you lay down and we're just gonna forget about you forever. You've made the greatest sacrifice. Judge Dredd is bonkers. All right, let's figure out how we're gonna do this rigging. So there's, like, the windows and kind of, like, the lattice work in between. You just don't. Boinging is the law. You just don't understand the deep lore of Judge Dredd. The only thing that I can like, fully wrap my mind around is that Judge Dredd is, like, the craziest shit they can come up with at all times, basically. So we're gonna try to, like, lasso this stuff out. Brian was kind enough in 1980 to, like, draw some pretty straight lines here. So hopefully our luck holds out and we can just lasso this stuff off. We're just deselecting it, and then we'll only have the windows selected, and we'll be able to lighten the windows, and then get all the people in here. Yeah, that's also like, yeah, it's the volumes that I got were 79 to 80. So yeah, it's like total 80s madness, but like it's also I don't know, like that's kind of what I love about it. It reads like an 80s action movie. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough. Like the if you can find the case files cheap, you should pick them up. I'm sure Judge Dredd now is very sophisticated and very serious. I hope he's not. I don't know if he is or he isn't. But because some of those, like, there's like a ridiculous story about the robot Walter, who's like Judge Dredd's servant robot that's like trying to bring him sandwiches when he's like trying to negotiate a hostage situation. It's the most bananas thing. Like, nothing makes sense. Up is down. But then like Dredd versus Alien versus Predator. Yeah, you highly recommend Necropolis, which is Case Files 14. Maybe I'll jump to Case Files 14 and we'll do some Judge Death stuff on stream at some point. Yeah, so I remember seeing Judge Dredd and being like, when I was a kid, and at the time I was like picking up like, God, what was I reading? I was reading basically all the Batman stuff I could get my hands on. I was reading, and this was like mid to late 90s, probably like late 90s. I was reading all the what was the Batman arc that was going on then? The one with the earthquake, No Man's Land. Pat Mills, Be Pure, Be Vigilante book is fantastic. I have it on audiobook. Get all the gossip from 2000 AD from back in the day. Ooh, I am kind of interested in that. So I was reading Batman, but then I was also reading like the Max, and Scud the Disposable Assassin. So which is like the Max and Scud are like both very, very weird, quirky books, but like I was also reading like Preacher back then. And oh man, this is a bad selection. We're gonna fix this. And I don't know, man. I had like a chip on my shoulder. I've realized this too with art. That like I kind of carried around a chip on my shoulder about like what I thought that comics should be. Yeah, man, I love the Max. We should do some Sam Keith stuff on stream. Although, man, I don't know if you can color Sam Keith better than he paints himself. But yeah, I actually just recently, my dad moved out of the childhood home that I grew up in, and he was like, "Hey, I found all this stuff. Do you want it?" And it was like stacks of the Max trading cards. And I was like, yes, I want that. Give those to me right now. I'm not doing this in a smart way. Like, okay, so here's the thing. Like from here to here, like this is all just black. Like we can just like deselect that. I started thinking about the structure of the building, and you know what? I'm gonna blame Brian Boland in 1980s Brian Boland. What are you doing to me, dog? He drew the structure so well that I just started thinking about the structure and not what was actually in front of me. Like this is all windows. We don't have to get any of that. Anyway, so I had this like kind of chip on my shoulder about like what I thought were like quote unquote good comics and what were quote unquote bad comics. Like, I was thinking about, anytime I saw like Alien versus Predator stuff, or like any kind of like movie tie-in thing, and like I think DREDD came out around then, the Stallone movie, and it like it bombed in America, I think. Nick blames 1980s Brian Bolland for everything. Is Brian he's still making comics, right? Like, he's got to be. He's too talented to like not be making comics still. But 1980s Brian Bolland, he's ruining the stream. No, he's not. He's not. He's enhancing it. It's so wildly inaccurate that he's ruining it. He's bending my mind. Covers mainly. Thinks he still does covers. Yeah. Man, so let me complete a thought first. So yeah, I thought that like I saw a lot of, for whatever reason, my local comic book store had stocked a lot of like versus Predator versus Alien, and like the DREDD stuff kind of got like wrapped up in that for some reason in their like sectioning. And so I always kind of like, between the movie coming out and me not being interested in the movie, which was mistake number one, and then like it being like lumped in with Alien versus Predator stuff, which I always kind of thought was like, kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it, like trash comics, but it's not even like trash comics. It was just like, I just wasn't receptive to what was going on then. Like, I was still very like, my tastes hadn't like gotten good. I was still very much like locked into Dial H for Hero. Yeah, man, that was a great book. I loved the first the first like 10 issues of that were real strong. But yeah, so I was like locked into like, you are a pretty opinionated kid. I was. You don't know this, but I kind of still am. So I was kind of like, these are trash comics and these are good comics, and I'm only going to read good comics. And I feel like I made a big mistake by doing that. So, okay, we were talking about how like colors don't really matter. Colors don't really matter. Like, we did like this greenish wash, lightened it up to like this gray. This is fine. We're just gonna a lot of the people are like gestured in here, and since we are flatting this for ourselves, we're just gonna we might actually color this guy who's falling out the window, because he's actually kind of drawn. You're a pretty opinionated kid. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like lumped DREDD in without like giving it a chance. And like, I honestly don't even know if I was like open enough, if I really understood like the potential of comics at the time. But I thought that, I was like 18 or whatever, like, I don't know. No, younger than that. And I was like, I know everything, you don't have to, tell me anything, whatever. All right, later, Matt. You never read the Alien vs. Predator books, but you can't deny their success. Those books and combination of such came out for years. Their success was the sole reason shitty movies got made. Yeah. I mean, we're doing a lot of judgment on like, early 90s Predator comics right now, but like, if given the opportunity to work on a Predator comic right now at this moment, I would jump at it. Like, that'd be like a lot of fun. And I think that's like, man, so here's the thing. If the DREDD books that I was reading were just like very, very like dry, like I'm the law. It's like law situations. He's enforcing the law. It's really taking itself very seriously. If Judge Dredd was that, I wouldn't be into it. But like the fact that you can tell like people are having fun with it makes me want to read more. Like that's the stuff I want to read. Too much of comics, I feel like, I don't know, too many times I feel like comic books get written in such a way where it's like, I don't know, like very just mundane. Like it's just a little bit of, it's just like a little too mediocre. And I think that's what I assumed out of Judge Dredd. When that wasn't the case. I mean, there's a reason that Judge Dredd's been running for as long as it's been running. I think that the real culprit was like in my fray into mainstream comics. Like I probably read like I was picking up when I was like 12. Dredd was tough to get into in the US though. For a while they had the few Ace Color reprints which had to been cherry picked, and then DC created the series, which oh boy. Then you had some reprints as well, but there was a lot of Ennis collections after he did Preacher, but that stuff is rough and some of his worst work. Yeah, I mean everybody's got to start somewhere. But yeah, I mean maybe that's it. Maybe I just like didn't have access to like good enough Dredd stuff at the time. But like, dude, I was picking up like Jim Balance Catwoman stuff when I was like 13, and that stuff is terrible. Like for me to like pick that stuff up and be like I got it all figured out, it's like laughable. Yeah, Jim Ballant went on to make some pretty terrible stuff. I think that the main reason that I got in and hung on with Catwoman for so long, by the way, your early experience was Dredd was the DC series turned you off to the whole concept. Yeah, maybe we were just reading comics at a time when like there just wasn't any good Dredd stuff out there, and they've like since changed that and expanded the marketplace in like a smart way. By the way, you know, when I go to comic shops, I try to sign books like on the sly, or you know, asking permission sometimes. Where like I'll sign some Cave Carson stuff, and I'll sign, you know, like whatever they got. And partly I do it because we didn't even select this in here. Like, so I was reading Batman and loving Batman, and I was like, oh, books I didn't even work on, just going in and signing actual books. Yeah, I'm signing novels, Bibles, whatever. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting text messages. But like when I was a kid, I was into Batman, and I like picking up, you know, the occasional Robin issue, not really like committing to anything, but I found, and maybe this speaks to like the popularity of Jim Ballant at the time, but I found an issue of Catwoman on the stands at my local comic shop that he had signed, and it was the same cover price as the regular issue. And I was like, oh my God, like it like blew my mind that like this was his and he had signed it. And it was like, you know, for like a kid, that's like a pretty like magical thing. Like I you know, like I don't know, it meant a lot to me, which is why, you know, like I'm never ever going to charge for signing stuff at shows. And you know, like I think that the value is that people enjoy your work, want to see your work, and like it's important, and you should sign stuff. Anyway, some professionals will like ask for tips for signing and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm like, bring me 50 books and we're gonna sign all of them, because you never know like whose hands those books are gonna end up in. Like, sure, some of them are probably gonna get like locked away in a collector vault, but like some of them might get resold, and some kid might stumble on it and be like, oh, somebody signed this book, this person worked on this, and it becomes like a real tangible thing. Like, it becomes like, oh, this is a job. Like, somebody did this. Like, a human being made a comic book, and then I bought it, and I bought it like all these other comic books. And I think there's value in that. All right, let's get these. Is it just this one guy? Yeah, it's just this one guy. This one poor guy. Look at this guy. Is he in tighty whities? He might be in tighty whities. But yeah, I think that because I was reading Catwoman and hooked in by a signature, that I like was reading a lot of like mediocre stories, so it shaped my imagination of like what I thought a comic should be and what a successful comic was. And then that continued to be like subverted basically for the next like 7 or 8 years. All right. I think the buildings are flatted well enough. Maybe we should get these two guys in here. And then we'll work on DREDD. So I've seen a couple color schemes for DREDD that have been like, some of them are like, he's got like kind of like green pads on in addition to like his black like suit. Some of them the pads are like dark like his suit. I don't know. We're just gonna kind of like wing it as best we can. Like I said, I was reading black and white versions, but we'll get his iconic like pads and everything correct, and helmet. You didn't get into comics at all until after college, so you missed out on a lot as a kid. Yeah, I mean, Fake McCoy will tell you in the chat, like, when I went to college, I didn't know who Power Man and Iron Fist were. I barely even know, like, freaking Avengers in general were kind of, like, not even on my radar. I mean, I read what I was, like, able to afford, but I got into it when I was in, like, when I was like a teenager. So I didn't even, like, a lot of kids start reading from like, 10, 8, like when you start to like be able to read. And so I missed out on like a lot of the lore, and I've been like kind of like picking it up on the way. But there's a lot in comics that I just like lore wise, I'm not your guy. Like, I cannot go toe to toe with, in fact, it's Iron Fist. I called Iron Fist Iron Man. Oh yeah, and you made fun of me for 4 years for not knowing who Iron Man is. Yeah. I mean, it was deserved. I didn't know who Iron Man was, but I wanted to make like. Here's the thing, though. It's like, I made a decision to go to school to make comic books, not because I knew who Iron Man was, but because I read the Max and Scud, and I was like, this shit is what I want to do. Like, like it was I don't know, it was a weird thing. Make this guy darker skinned. We've got a white guy on the left. We'll make a darker skinned guy on the right. Yeah, so I mean, like, this is why, like, I've talked about this a little bit before. Like, I am never gonna judge anyone for not knowing something or like getting into something late, because like I got into like a lot of stuff late, and like I'm doing this for a living, you know, and I love this. I love this, and I love learning about comics and stuff. And like some stuff just like doesn't appeal to me. Like when I was a kid, there weren't that many good Iron Man stories. It was like, you know, do I want to like, do me as a 13-year-old want to read about Iron Man's alcoholism? Not really, you know, like Armor Wars, like, I don't know. It just like didn't appeal to me. I don't know. I was like Jim Lee's X-Men. That's what I wanted. You know, like old Iron Man stuff, like just was not interesting. All right. Let's work on DREDD. So we're gonna make him his like suit dark. Hopefully not like the buildings. We're gonna save right here just to make sure that we save our work. Iron Man was kind of a secondary character till the movies, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you go back like wanting to read old Iron Man stuff, and it's kind of slim pickings until like, you know, like Extremis and like the nano suit stuff and like all that kind of stuff. At least in my opinion. I know a lot of people who love Iron Man and will fight to the death about it. And by the way, it seems like anybody who's reading Iron Man is an idiot for not reading War Machine. Like, I feel like War Machine's like way cooler. He's got a bigger gun. And like, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what the point of Iron Man is if you're going to have small guns. And then, by that logic, why don't we all just read Gundam manga? You know? I don't know. What are we even doing here? We could be building a Gundam, is what I'm saying. We could all get Gundam models, and we could all just hang out and make Gundams. Shots fired. The point of Iron Man is not being Don Cheadle. Oh my god. Why aren't we working on Gundam models? I don't know. Erica Cotton, who is a streamer as well, she was streaming some Gundam stuff. I think I talked about this before, and I kind of it's like planted the seed of like, you should get Gundam models. I'm wanting look, okay, everybody, we need to make an orderly exit out the back door and just start watching some Gundam. Why don't we all read Gundam? Yeah, okay. All right. The Gundam train is over. Man, I have to like emotionally brace myself every time I pass a booth that sells Gundam models at a convention. Like, they're just so cool, and I really want to build them, and I just do not have the time for that. All right. Let me see if I can do the DREDD helmet from memory. Well, first let's just, like, fill this. All right. Let's see if I can do the DREDD helmet from memory. So, take some red. I mean, it's already like pretty much done. One of the things that I really like about DREDD, and I talked about this a little bit in the Discord, is that all of the coloring like just makes sense to me. Like, here's the thing. Like, you don't have shoulder pads like these, and you think, is gold a little too ostentatious? Do I want a more low-key silver? No, you get shoulder pads like this, and you go full gold, and then you yell about investing entire skyscrapers. Judge DREDD boarded an ocean liner that was not in his jurisdiction and got them to drove it back and arrested everyone on it. It's madness. Fucking DREDD. Oh, Lord. It's 5 o'clock. All right. I mean, if I don't know what this is, we can always go back to checking out my own helmet that I totally own in real life and am constantly wearing as I am a resident judge of Mega City 1. Let's just go check that out. The law. So it looks like I got it right. It looks like the zipper's gray. Here. It's 5 o'clock here. Here. And if it isn't, I just declared it is because I'm the law. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. So I don't know if you guys, I'm really excited about working on that Curse of the Iron Chef over the weekends with you guys. There's a couple things that I want to, that I'm gonna have to like fix a little bit. I've been thinking about it because I'm excited about it in the writing process, but I think it's gonna be really fun. And I was kind of like trying to think like, okay, how long is this gonna take? And then I was like, all right, we'll do like a stream of brainstorming. And then I was like, and then we'll do like a stream of actual writing it, and then we'll do you know, like we'll do a stream per page. Like that's where my head was at. But I think we're gonna have to do like a stream of doing like thumbnails, you know, like and then doing like where we thumbnail all 10 pages, and then doing a stream of like pencils for page 1 and then inks for page 1, and then be done with page 1. So I think that it's actually going to take us, like when you think about it like that, it's like 20 something more streams. It's gonna be a while. We're gonna be trucking on this thing for a while, and I don't know that like, whoa, Photoshop. Especially if like a page is gonna take like, you know, 4 hours to draw, 5 hours to draw. Like, I don't know if those streams, we might start experiment with like putting music on the stream and, you know, that kind of thing, because it's gonna start getting wild. Those are gonna be the long streams for me to like constantly talk through. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Dude, the new DREDD is awesome, even though it kind of rips off the raid. I don't know what the raid is, so it's fine. The new DREDD movie's great. That'll be 30 years in the cubes. Oh my god. So we were talking about this a little bit in the Discord about how like I feel like if you're making something that you love, it comes out, and that you shouldn't like, there's like a weird, I'm trying to like, this is what I'm currently battling right now in my career, is like trying to find out like which projects to say no to and which projects to say yes to, because like the reality is like right now I'm very excited about doing some pages and stuff, but like I'm catching up on chat. They're talking about DREDD versus the RAID. But like, you know, pages clearly don't like, they're not going to pay the bills. So it's like, all right, if pages aren't going to pay the bills and the, you know, like the stream doesn't pay the bills. If that's true, then like, okay, we have to like work smarter, not harder with coloring stuff, which means like, you know, I used to kind of just take anything and everything that like got offered to me, and I've just kind of like hit this point of like, you know, I'd rather not have something that's like profitable or interesting, you know. I'd rather not work for the sake of work, because I'd rather be doing this with you. I'd rather be working on getting that 10-pager up. And if that 10-pager is decent, like, I'd like to maybe put it on Comixology. We'll see. Make some photocopies, take it to cons. You know, like start to build that. You too, Graffiti Bandit. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, you gotta like kind of like balance your time as far as like it being worth something. By the way, is this done? Does DREDD's belt buckle, does it have like a red, white, and blue design? What about the badge? I don't think the badge does. I have to look it up. My computer is moving slow. It is chugging. The reason it's chugging is because I'm doing Cave Carson stuff right now, and like it is layer after layer after layer for Cave Carson. Yeah, looks like his belt buckle has is like red and white on it. So let's do that. I'm excited to color this Brian Bolin stuff though, because so Brian has a very like tight style, and I tend to color a little loose. Like I feel like Matt Wilson colors a little tighter than I do as far as like selections and that sort of thing. 10-pager as a pilot to shop around. Yeah, I mean, no publisher with sense can turn down the Curse of the Iron Chef. I mean, like, I'm not even thinking about it as like, oh, we'll do this 10-pager and then I'll shop it around. I'm just like, I want to do this 10-pager because like this is fun, and then like then we'll do another 10-pager, then we'll do another 10-pager, and we'll just like spit out like a ton of ideas, you know. My mentality is like, maybe I'll put together like a little anthology down the road, but like I'm not even thinking about like how to market it right now. Like I just want to make stuff that I'm excited about. And I started thinking about this and I was like, that's kind of the whole game anyway, but it's that good. Yeah. Only with the chat's help is it that good. But I was thinking about this in like professionally, like this is the whole game. It's like, you know, you got to make stuff that you're excited about. And if you're not excited about something, if you're like taking a project because you feel like you have to, it like comes through. And like this is like the stuff that I've been thinking about lately. And as far as like, where do you focus your time as an artist? And like, I actually came up against, like I have a couple of books booked, and normally I have like 5, and just recently I had like 2, and it was kind of like I was kind of coming up against like, you know, like the terrifying realization of like, oh God, I need to make money. But then I was like, you gotta like kind of have to mentally stay strong and be like, okay, well, if I'm going to make money, like I got to make good money. So I'm not going to take these books that don't pay very well. Cause like, you know, I have 15 years in the business and like, you know, I can take one of these books at literally at any time. Like I have to like have the wherewithal to like hold out for better situations. Cause if I take this book, then that's like an opportunity cost. And like, I can't take a book that pays more because I'm too busy like doing this. I'm going to do that book that pays more. I'm going to do it poorly, which is not where you want to be. So it's like a fucking freelance is this weird headspace of like constant panic because you're like, I hope things will work out. I hope things will work out. I hope things will work out. And then like, eventually you're like, oh good. Oh God, it worked out. And you got to like, I don't know, kind of have like the wherewithal to like weather it. It's a weird thing, but I think this is done for now. Anyway, I just signed the contracts for another DC book, and I'm very excited about it. I can't tell you guys about it yet, but I'm like pumped about it, because it's and you know, to that end, I was like, I'm not going to take anything that I'm not excited about anymore. But they offered this to me, and it was like something that I'm really excited about. So yeah, I'm stoked, and you guys will hear about it, I'm sure. We'll do some of it on stream. Anyway, I think this is DREDD. I think we're good. Next stream, we're gonna crack some coloring. Thanks, Hulk Hoquin. Yeah, like I'm excited about working more and more with DC. They're a really great company, and I love all the editors there. I mean, I haven't had a bad editor in a long time. I haven't had a bad situation in a long time, but like I was saying before, you know, I've always been like a DC guy growing up, so like it's exciting. Anyway, guys. We did it. We did it. We flatted Judge Dredd. It's awesome. Hold on. You didn't see that when I slipped out of the helmet. We flatted Judge Dredd out of the Complete Case Files Volume 4. That's what we got here. That's what we're just gonna toss this into the fire over there. All right, and then because we already scanned it, we don't need it anymore. Into the fire. And then we got Cave Carson coming out this week, and if you don't pick it up, you're criminal scum. That's true. I'm a judge. I can say that. That's real life. This is all real life. But seriously, Cave Carson has a Cybernetic Eye Volume 2. It's coming out this week. Very excited about it. We're gonna get Mike Oeming on here. He's actually gearing up for let's stop all that for a minute. It's too much. Mike Oeming is going to come on stream. We're working out of time. He's gearing up for a convention right now, a local convention. So he's kind of like a little all over the place. But after the volume releases, we're going to be talking about wow, I got out of that costume fast. Yeah. We're going to be talking to him. I got a couple other people who have said that they are excited about coming on the stream and talking to me. And I'm excited about that too, because like I want to get different perspectives and stuff on here. Local Joe versus Judge Dredd, who would win? I mean, yeah, Local Joe. Yeah, Local Joe. We'll put a link for Local Joe, the Dropbox link down there, for anyone who doesn't know what Local Joe is. And you should join the Discord. You should get involved in the 24-hour chat. We've started talking about like, you know, where we can get pages and stuff like that. How we can get practice in. Matt Garvey flatted a bunch of Chris Somney stuff that he found online, and posted those flats up in the Discord. We've made a section for flats to practice on. So if you're an aspiring colorist, you want to like check out some stuff that's already flatted and maybe practice on some pages that are ready to go, ready for color, join us in the Discord. even if you just join, pick up the pages, bounce out, like, that's cool. When you're done with them, you can post them and we'll talk about them. Like, you get some real-time feedback. It's a good thing. And if you want to take the ultimate plunge, you can subscribe here at twitch.tv/NickPhil and submit your portfolio, and I will give you a portfolio review on stream. I'll point you in the right direction. But for now, keep making comics, guys. And we're going to finish off this Judge Dredd cover by Brian Bolin next stream, which will probably be on Thursday or so. And then after that, we're gonna do some more writing, which is exciting and scary. So you don't want to miss that. Keep making comics, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you soon.